Hey, there's a recording in progress. The Zoom lady tells me that. Welcome back to Vanquishing Evil Management.
If the recording's in progress, it must be we're back to vanquishing evil management.
That's right. How's it going, Andy?
It's good. And we're thinking about talking about from the employee's perspective. I'm not performing as a team member.
Yeah, so the last video we recorded was why do employees get labeled as bad performers, underperformers, non-performers, bad employees? And we looked at it from the role of the manager. What are you doing or not doing? How can you serve them and diagnose this problem?
Right.
But I got to tell you, I've been the underperforming employee. And sometimes I felt trapped there because I've actually felt like I'm doing great. But for whatever reason, management does not see it that way, and they are not shy about letting me know about it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I actually don't understand why I'm not performing. And sometimes, have you ever talked to somebody who says, I'm being told this, I try to ask questions, I try to understand, and I'm not getting a clear answer?
Gosh, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's the example you gave, which is I feel like I'm working as hard as I can, I'm doing a great job, and I'm not meeting the bill.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side of it, which is I'm working as hard as I can, I'm trying my best, and I know I'm failing, or it feels like I'm failing.
So why don't we take the first one? I am the employee being told I'm underperforming, not performing, and I actually don't understand the feedback. I can't gain clarity, and I feel trapped. And this is common. People get the feedback, they don't see it, they don't understand it, and they're like, well, I don't know what to do. So how do we empower somebody in that situation to take a look, take stock of everything they have, everything that's going on, and actually give them some action steps to start moving in a different, hopefully more productive direction?
Right. So one of the things you called out last time we were talking from the manager's perspective is what's my ownership here? Right? So what am I responsible for?
Exactly, right? So we told managers, you're responsible for casting the vision, setting the expectations. The flip side is, as a manager, you need to hear the employee restate expectations and vision back to you, so that you know that what you're communicating is being received, and when it's given back to you, you know what to set in by way of expectations.
Right. Yeah. So you called it. First step is, are we aligned on what's expected of the role? What does good look like? What does success look like?
Ooh, I'm in the security industry, and like metrics of tangible things outside of door alarms, not really our forte. So I've literally been in jobs to where they said, don't get in trouble. That's what success looks like.
Wow.
What does that mean?
So when somebody tells you don't get in trouble, what are you thinking about all the time?
About how I can do as little of my job as possible to limit my exposure, which is not healthy because I'm being encouraged to underperform.
Right. Right. I talked to a pretty senior leader this week, and she'd gotten some pretty tough feedback, and it wasn't about her capability. It was about how she was showing up for the people around her. And she was mystified. And the hard part was she saw herself as victim.
You know what? That's an easy place to land when we receive feedback. I am the most positive, go-getter, can move mountains person ever. And I have actually landed in that spot too, to be like, I'm helpless. Like, what should I do?
Right. Hey, boss, look at all these things I've done right. Why are you calling out the couple of things I've done wrong?
Yeah. Well, I guess a good place to start is if your management will not give you clear, defined vision and expectations, then you need to take the feedback and you need to go back into that meeting, which sucks because that's an uncomfortable place. You just came out of there. You're happy to be out of there. You want me to go back? Yes, we do. Set a meeting up for next week and say like performance evaluation, revisit.
Right.
And then just leave a note, say like, hey, I just want to clarify expectations to ensure I understand. I want us to be aligned, right? Keep it very positive in the invite. And when you show up, literally, if you're a PowerPoint person, put in a PowerPoint. You told me these things. I was under the impression I was doing these things, and this is what success looked like. Here was the feedback that I received, which confused me because of bam, bam, bam. Now, this requires you to wallow, to actually go back to the moment and not be pissed off, but to say, he said that and I was enraged, but like dial it back. When he said that, why did I get upset? Where was the miss? Where, like, I was thinking this, he was over here. What happened? Document those things and stay away from I feel, I know, I thought this, you told me this, and I was confused because here was where I was at and we are not aligned here. Go down the list and make it about my misunderstanding of you. Now, somebody that's just landed in the victim seat, not a really good thing they want to do is be like, I was wrong. But guess what? They're your manager, so you were wrong. You're not going to tell them they were wrong. So own it and clarify.
Right. I'm right with you. I want to challenge one thing you said, that I need to wallow. I'm going to offer you an alternative to that.
Okay.
I know you didn't mean really wallow, but
No, I mean, I wallow. I mean, crying, like.
In those moments, you got a lot of energy in you. It's usually directed toward pushing back on the world, when you put your fist through the wall. Take that energy and put it into curiosity. Put it into, you know what? I got something I can learn here.
Yeah. Yeah. What if this was client feedback? Or what if you were brought in to fix a project that another firm had started? And the first thing you need to do is a gap analysis, right? To understand where things are supposed to be, where they landed, and how you get up the hill.
Right.
So that's exactly the state of mind we need to be in. And we need to ask for very, very clear direction. What direction should I go from here? And what does success look like? And what are the milestones along the way to know that we're making progress? Now, what happens when they're like, I don't know.
A thought for you.
Okay.
In addition to asking, bring a plan. You told me this. Here's my plan to address that. What do you think? It's so much easier for people, managers included, to respond to something that's out there, as opposed to open up, trying to fill the blank slate.
You flipped it. So now you went from, I thought I understood and I'm being told I'm wrong, to this is what I intend to do because I think this will make it better. What do you think? Do you agree? And this is a nasty little trick that I love, because if they say that looks good, they've taken apart ownership.
That's it. And if they don't, it's going to be easy for them to straighten you out.
And you know what? Here's the thing. If you have this meeting and they're like, you know what? I didn't see it that way. Like, this is interesting. This is a different perspective. This is an outcome that could happen. I had no idea that you thought I meant, and this is what you thought. And so you were actually like, I can see how you could see yourself being successful here. I need to think about it. If you've done that PowerPoint deck, if you've done a document, if you've drawn it on a whiteboard, you leave that with them and say like, okay, next week, this time, I'm putting time back on your calendar. Just bring this back, because even if this takes a quarter, it's a quarter well spent for us to work towards becoming one.
Right.
And you know what? If you have somebody who is not completely evil, they will appreciate this. It may be tough. It may not be the top of the list of the things they want to do, but they will appreciate the work that you're putting in, and that this is building a foundation that they should never have to revisit again. Because you're going to learn communication styles, you're going to learn working methods, you're going to learn all sorts of different things during an exercise like this.
Right, right. And think about this. If you bring that back to the table, that positive leaderly approach where I'm going to bring solutions, I heard you and I'm going to bring solutions. What does that do for your reputation? What does that do for what people think of you?
Yeah. At very least, you can show the HR representative what you tried to do.
Guys, I tried.
No, I mean, and here's the thing, right? It doesn't feel like a good solution when you're in that space, when you're in that headspace and you're like, I can't believe it. But leading with curiosity, wrapping your head around what was actually said, not what you heard, what was actually said, and documenting it so that you're not speaking from a place of emotion, but you put it out and think about, oh no, when I gave that feedback, that's not what I meant. I meant this. And now you have a hard copy thing to clarify and to begin to set a template.
Right. Cool.
All right. So that's scenario number one. I don't know what success looks like. What's the next scenario?
The other one, which is, I thought I know what success looks like, and I'm just spinning my tires. I cannot get into it. I cannot fulfill this role. Oh,
so like I can't get my motivation up, or I can't get on top of my game.
I feel like I'm failing. I get what they're asking for.
Is this an internal feeling, or is this an internal feeling that is authenticated by feedback?
Yeah, you may be getting feedback from outside, but you know in your heart.
Well, here's the thing though. The heart can be deceitful because I, in the past, and it's less now, but it still pops up, have had a little bit of imposter syndrome. I feel like I'm failing. I am totally getting fired. And that is when I've delivered my best projects ever.
Right.
And when I tell people like I was for certain that was the end of my job, and they're like, what are you talking about? There's a reason you got put in that place, right? So that's my internal anxiety that doesn't translate to reality, but that's not what we're talking about, right? Like we know we're failing and we're receiving feedback that we're underperforming.
Right, right.
That's a separate conversation.
That's tough, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Right. It feels like you've got nowhere to go. Because it's not that you're not working hard. It's not you're putting effort in.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was talking with a mentee the other day, not about this specific situation. This person is in a new role during COVID. And we're talking about aligning expectations and setting success metrics. And what I told her to do, I just lost my train of thought. I hate it when that happens.
A mentee, talking about setting success metrics.
Yes.
And connecting that to performance.
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. So what do you tell somebody who feels like they're failing? How do you support that person?
Oh, now I know. So I was telling this person to give a short presentation on their understood scope of work as they understand it, because they're remote, right? Set the expectations, but then ask, what does my ideal state scope of work look like? And this person said, well, I don't think that I can do any more work. And I said, that's a really good reason to ask what your ideal state looks like. Because if they say, well, this is what you're going to end up doing, you can say, well, how could I be doing that? I'm so busy doing this. And they may say, why are you so busy doing this? You may find out that you're doing way more than is required, or you're doing it the wrong way, or you have the wrong idea. And they said, no, don't, that's useless work. Do this work instead. So that's what I would say in this specific situation. Set the meeting up and be like, I am struggling. I know you expect this. This is what I'm doing, but I don't feel like I'm gaining traction. I am missing these goals and objectives. What are you seeing from your perspective? Like, how can I improve? Am I doing anything that's counterproductive? Am I doing the right things? Am I in the right frame of mind? And coming to management with that type of vulnerability, now it feels bad, right? Because you're going to think, they're going to think I'm bad at my job. But if you don't do it, they will think you're bad at your job. But if you come at them and say, I need help, and I know this, and here's what I'm doing, and here's what I want to work towards, now you can develop that plan, and you may find out that you're approaching things the wrong direction. And they may be able to give you some quick advice, some quick tools, or they may say, I had no idea you were working that hard. Like, you were doing all of these things, like you need help.
Right, right. And at minimum, at least you're on the same page with your leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so if you're in that position, you're not a bad employee, right? You're just struggling and you know it. And if you come with that, maybe they can help refine your work method. Maybe they can give you help. Maybe they'll just realize this is not the project for you.
Right.
And isn't it a great time for them to say, you know what? I can see this is very difficult for you. I'm not sure how to fix this. Can we bring somebody in? You can transition this project out to them and assist, so that you can see how this type of project is done, or maybe give that project over to them and we can give you something that's more in your wheelhouse, because a good manager won't want you to sit there and struggle. Right. They'll want to give you something that you can do well in, because they also don't want the work dropped.
Right. It serves nobody for you to be struggling that way, for sure. Maybe we end this, Tim, with 3 or 4 questions you can ask yourself if you're struggling. If you're either being labeled a bad performer, or you just feel like you're not performing the way you want to.
Yeah.
What can you be asking yourself to get straight?
Well, whenever I feel emotions that I don't understand how I landed here, I stop, I take a deep breath, and I say, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? And when do I feel it? Mm-hmm. Sometimes just diagramming out these emotional responses will help you understand what you're struggling with, what is causing the anxiety and frustration. It may be a person, it may be a project, it may be a type of thing. And that just helps you identify what you're struggling with.
Right. I think that's brilliant. And one of the emotions I think that happens when we're in this place is we feel out of control. We feel overwhelmed because we don't know where to go next. One of the things you can think about is what am I in control of, and what would it take to feel in control of this work? Absolutely.
That's a really good question. I think I've talked about this on one of our other episodes, but I have a little tool, 3 columns. On the left side, the things I control; the right side, the things I cannot control; and in the middle, what can I influence to gain a little bit of control over the things I can't control.
Right.
And just taking stock and inventory, I control all these things. Am I exerting the most effective use of control that I have?
Right.
What influence can I have over people or resources to help me gain some control over things I don't control?
We feel so much better when we have a plan. It might not be the perfect plan, but when we have clear action in front of us, we feel so much better. Here's another one that might be useful. Stealing from the positive psychology world. Are you showing up in this moment as the sage that is being able to see the big picture and understanding what's going on, as the judge that is bringing your own interpretation to what's going on? Or are you showing up as the victim, that is, everything's happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
And by identifying where you are, you can also identify where you want to be.
It's true. It's true. One other thing that you can make a decision on is, what will I own? Will I own the things I don't know how to do? Will I own the feelings of not being enough? Will I own my wins? Will I be willing to grab people that I know are smarter than me, who can help me with this, and put them in a room and say, I'm struggling, let me draw it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
What should I be thinking about doing? You would have to work with some seriously evil people to put people in a room with you and say, I'm struggling. I know you guys have the ability to help me. What can I be doing? How might you be able to help me? And people not offer advice or offer assistance, because very rarely do people want to watch somebody that they know is struggling continue to struggle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That you really, unless you're that person you called out earlier, that super evil leader, that's not what you want for your team. Hey, this has been really great, Tim. If you had to name a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious from this conversation, what would it be?
I've never heard of a BFO. I think sometimes we end up in that victim seat. I think possibly the evil within us in this situation is ego.
Mm-hmm.
And our inability to humble ourselves, because we don't want to have the conversations that we don't want to have, because that would be admitting that we're wrong, or that we need to improve, even if we don't feel like we need to. If we're going to move forward, the most positive way to move forward is just to say, okay, I'm going to accept your feedback, and I am going to turn it into factual statements, and we're going to move forward with this.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's perfect. And recognizing that all that stuff is just a signal. It's just data. Yeah. It's not who you are as a human being. You're worthy regardless of what you're hearing from folks.
That's true. That's true. You should not allow your worth to be wrapped up in your work.
Right.
Yeah.
That's easy to say. It's hard for us to do.
It's true, right? Because we spend a lot of time working and we take pride in what we turn out. And a lot of us want to be the best.
Right. Yeah.
So
cool. Good.
Right.
All right. Thanks for calling out the evil today.
Hey, man. Good conversation. I'll catch you next time.
Take care, Tim.